my only annoyance there is that it's this new habit of release companies doing two different Steelbook versions and just making fans, particularly the ones with that OCD about needing to own everything, really
You have
frustrated
both,
and or
Kaz.
poor. Okay, just don't talk to me about it. Hello and welcome to Screen Time with AV Forums. In this video, we're looking at our choices for the best 4K Blu-rays 2024, as featured in our Editor's Choice Awards article. First, a message from our sponsor, Hisense.
Over the festive period, it's the perfect time to cozy up and level up your TV experience. Hisense mini LED TVs bring incredible brightness, deeper blacks, and stunning contrast, making it perfect for binging your favourite movies and TV shows in lifelike detail. Plus, the 55-inch and 65-inch U7N models just earned a Which Best Buy award, and with end-of-year sale pricing, it's never been smarter to upgrade. Learn more about the mini LED range at hisense.co.uk.
Thanks to Hisense for sponsoring the show. Before we get to the best 4K Blu-ray awards, I got to give a big shout out to Simon, who's joining us here from Australia at like 6 in the morning. Although
yes,
I'm less I have less praise for the 6 a.m. when you have that view, because I need that view at 6 a.m. in the morning.
Sympathy is hard to come by.
Cool.
Yes,
it's pretty cool. 6 a.m. Tuesday morning actually for your 8 p.m.
Oh my God, he's in the future. Size ringing us from the future.
And it's raining.
It's
well,
the power
not
of technology.
now.
Oh man,
quality.
Very
you
nice.
Swine.
Right. So on our awards for discs, we gave best 4K Blu-ray restoration to The Crow. What do we think about that, Mark? Considering, unlike the movie section, you had a lot more inputs on the 4K Blu-rays, to the point where I'm pretty sure all of these
Don't. You know, you basically
all
said
of
it's the
them.
Crow or the Raid, Mark. So, you know,
Did
we
you
have
say
very.
The Crow or the Raid?
Let's be honest, there were a lot of candidates that could have been in for this. I nicely nominated, for example, the recent North by Northwest, which I thought was a fantastic restoration.
I didn't remember you saying that.
Yes, you do remember. And then do you remember cruelly dashing my hopes and steamrolling over anything I had to say so you could pick The Crow? Do you remember that?
No, not really.
All right.
Yeah,
Oh,
that
okay.
sounds
Okay.
good. Because I was going to go for the Raid, and you made me put The Crow instead of the Raid. That's what I remember.
Well,
yeah.
Anyway, we should stop drinking, Kaz, quite frankly, and then we might remember stuff we actually talked about. I mean, I'm not going to argue with this, and I think the reason why The Crow stands out is because previous 1080p release was so god awful. It was one of those early Miramax / Lionsgate affairs. It was smeary. There was no texture. It was soft. It was just horrible. This Paramount, and believe me, it's all the more shocking that it's come from Paramount with their patchy year they've had. But it scrubbed up incredibly nicely. It now looked like a film from 1994. So can't ask for more than that if we're talking about a restoration. So, and there were plenty of fantastic films that could have hit the top spot for this, and they're all equally good. So I'm not going to moan too much about them.
It was a nice one. Do you have it, Si? The 4K Crow?
Sorry, I have the thing on mute there because there was a bird squeaking its little heart out just over there.
Oh, shut up, Crust.
Yes, I do have it. I have seen it, and it's very, very good. Yeah, the dynamic range that you've got between black and white is fantastic. Yeah, it's really good.
Yeah, I think Mark's right. It does make a big difference that it's such a step up, rather than just a beautiful restoration. It's like wow, this is what we have to replace what we had before. Yeah, it's
the equivalent to last year's Sleepy Hollow, isn't it? That had a truly dreadful and 1080p, and suddenly you get a good 4K, and it's night and day. So yeah, okay, I'll give you that one, Kaz.
But you wouldn't let me have the raid. Do you have the raid?
I do have the raid.
What did you think of it?
See, the raid is a tricky one.
It is a tricky one, isn't it?
Because
Yeah.
all the way through, we've been quite consistent, and especially, with all the furore over the Cameron
Yeah.
revisionist restorations. We've all been quite clear that a restoration should make it look like it looked. And yet
We like
the raid
Terminator.
doesn't.
Yeah.
Now that would have put the cat amongst the pigeons. We should have put Terminator at number one.
Yeah, we should have.
Watch the fur fly. Oh no, but the thing with the raid was this is where Edwards turned around and said, "Look, I'm going to be honest now. I wasn't happy with how it looked. I am now going to make it look like I wanted it to have looked back in the day," which in essence is not too far off what Jim Cameron's been saying.
No, it isn't. We just don't like what Jim
it
Cameron's
does look
saying.
and it does look very different than what. But you could argue that this is where restoration, that kind of revisionist restoration, works. He's not gone in to try and make it look like he made the film today. He's gone in to make it look like how he wanted to make it back in 2011. So yeah,
Yes.
I mean,
Yeah,
it was solid stuff. And again, whether or not it's the most pristine restoration, but I think it's probably the most interesting restoration that we've had this year. So yeah, I'm not going to moan again. I'll bust your balls about it, but I'm not going to moan.
Si, have you got it?
Yes, mate, fantastic. I really, really enjoyed it actually. It breathed new life into the film, which is magnificent anyway. Yeah, it's a great restoration because it's not, super sparkly, shiny, bright, but it's made it far more watchable than it was before. It was very dark and dingy and
Yogurt.
It was okay. It kind of felt like it should have been, but now it's just better. It's got a little bit of sparkle to it. It's really good.
Which is the preferred soundtrack of choice for you two? Is it the Indonesian track or the one by the guy out of Linkin Park? Because then you've got another choice.
I think I fell down on the original. I can't remember how this panned out.
I went with the Linkin Park one. Interesting. Anyway,
yeah, that's difficult. I think I went to the original. Flicking between the two. It's the musical choices really. It's the major difference.
Yeah. So like what they used to do with silent films, wasn't it? And we'll come on to that when we talk about one of the
very true.
Silent films later on. It just gives it's the same film but with a slightly different personality. Good to have options.
I actually can't remember which one I favoured. That's going to really annoy me because now I've got to go
and
watch it again twice. No,
Welcome to middle age.
I remember it surprising me which one I enjoyed more, which makes me think it might have been the second go that I enjoyed more because I expected it to be the original. But anyway, yes. But having them both, Atmos.
Yeah, totally.
Is great.
Choice is king.
What's interesting about this lineup, I mean, I'm coming on to the next one, but there's a lot of US only in here. Raid was US only. And so the next one is Best 4K Blu-ray Surprise, which largely for me was Narc, which was Arrow US. Again, a bit like the Raid, I didn't expect anything from Narc in 4K. Did either of you pick it up?
No, it's I'm a Deep Blue fan. Is it Deep Blue? Because Kurt Russell one came out at the same time as this, and I always kind of equate them, even though they're very different films. But I will pick this up eventually. But
it's US only, so it's a pain to import. But I will say that Narc traditionally, like we've talked about for a lot of these titles we've mentioned, didn't have a great home and 1080p, and it's a very handheld movie. I would describe it as. There's a lot of gritty kind of capturing the moment cinematography. It's very flashy, but also minimal budget. And I just didn't expect anything from a 4K restoration. That they managed to do it and make it this good and slap an Atmos track on it. I mean, it's what pretty much
nice.
Earned most of these entries their spot. I just don't think, and I put in the review, I just don't think anyone who's familiar with Narc could have ever expected it to look like this. And it hasn't gone through the work that the raid went through, but it's still cleaned up really nicely. The runner-up, which I know you wanted for the top spot, and you know why I didn't put it in the top spot? Didn't put it in the top spot because
you have no taste and are nasty.
no, because I love Navy SEALs, but it's not as good a film. It just isn't. The
I'll give
film
you that.
isn't as good, and I wanted to have it higher. Again, a US only import. My God, Vinegar Syndrome. They're going to cost us a liver. But
Well, they are. But I tell you what, if we had another month left in the year, it wouldn't be Navy SEALs in here. It would be the Keep. But
yeah,
we
don't
don't
say
have the
that.
Keep yet.
Well, we could edit in the Keep between now and when the article gets published
Yeah,
and
no.
really mess with everybody. Anyway,
Yeah, that's
Navy
mean.
SEALs. Who has Navy SEALs? I've got it. Mark's got it. Si, did you get Navy SEALs?
Nah.
Yeah, okay. All right, fair enough. I don't blame you, but come on.
It's well, Navy SEALs is classic Vinegar Syndrome, and it's everything that these. Well, to be fair, and we'll come on to it. It's not just Vinegar Syndrome now. Arrow are
Yeah,
getting in on the game.
they
They are
are.
taking these crappy mainstream, middling Hollywood films that no one would ever say were their favorites. And
Demolition
they are
Man.
lavishing them. They're lavishing them with their typical boutique, fairy
Yeah.
dust. And Navy SEALs is possibly. I mean, the film is, well, as Cal said, it's absolute trash. It's complete
It's
trash,
glorious trash.
but it's glorious trash. It's a
Yeah.
trash to piece,
Yeah.
as they say. But Vinegar Syndrome, sprinkle that magic dust. It's got an amazing 4K restoration. It looks amazing. It sounds amazing. It's got some fantastic extra features on, and more importantly, it comes with a magnet clasp.
That magnet clasp is absolutely
It's the sole
worth-
reason why Vinegar Syndrome they can stick 20% on their retail price and go, well, put a magnet on it, and we'll just go take all my money. So yeah, you talk about surprises. I don't think anyone ever thought in 2024 we'd be sat here talking about a 4K restoration of Navy bloody SEALs. But here we are. Definition of surprise.
Very good. Very good. Best overall AV 4K Blu-ray. We don't have to go over the film again. I gave it to Dune Part 2, which I just thought looked and sounded phenomenal in 4K.
It was fine.
Yeah, I know, Mark. I know. It's like Furiosa. Like when we get onto Furiosa, you're going to be like, do we have to talk about Furiosa
It's
again?
fine. It was fine too. It's all fine.
Phenomenal disc, 4K and Atmos.
Yeah.
Absolutely phenomenal. And the runner-up was Bad Boys Ride or Die. Whatever you think of the film, and I know it's a mainstream release, but Sony know how to do 4K video and Atmos audio, and it's a gangbusters demo disc. Best 4K Blu-ray audio. This is your choice, Mark. You're going to face some Furora. Where's my bass? This is Godzilla -1.
Well, do you know what? It's in the last 3 weeks, we've got two of the best Atmos soundtracks I've heard in the home between this and the runner-up, which we'll talk about in a minute. Godzilla -1. I'm going to make no bones about this. What do I look for in a surround track? Do you know what? I don't care if the lip sync is a little bit flaky. Do you know what? I don't care if my trousers flap with bass. What I care about is that my surround speakers are bombarding me with sound from start to finish. Yes, I am a surround sound nut. I like whip bands that go from front to back and left to right and front left to back right and over my head and all that. That is what I live for. And Godzilla -1 delivers epic surround sound in spades. Okay. Yes, there's no lip sync problems here. The dialogue is perfect. The mix is great. I think there's plenty of bass here. It's the bassiest ever, but there's only one or two that are. That's why they call it the bassiest ever. But for me, this had one of the most fun surround sound engagements I have heard. It was constant. I was looking. Oh, it was absolutely joyous. So
Feels
if you
like
like your
left the window
surround
open.
sound, get it. Oh, it's amazing.
It does help that the film's brilliant as well, doesn't it? I nearly slipped in the swear word there.
There's no Navy SEALs, but yeah.
Yeah.
Although the thing is, though, Si, the runner-up wasn't quite as brilliant a film.
Alien
But
Romulus.
that didn't stop me having as good a time with the soundtrack on Alien Romulus. And again,
Oh,
it was.
Oh, yeah.
Do you get the feeling, Kaz, that Si hasn't really read this before? We're just looking at it now. Anyway, the thing with Romulus, though, it had the surround sound engagement, but it did it in a very different way. It was all about the atmospherics. It was all about the ambience. And I mean, I remember in the cinema hearing those face huggers scuttle behind you. I mean, it was bad enough when you knew the speakers were 25 feet away. When you know your speakers are 2 feet away and you hear that skittering. So again, two absolutely joyous soundtracks. It is what home cinema is made for. Both of these can't fault the soundtracks. And as much as I have the problem with the film Alien Romulus, I ain't gonna fault its AV, especially its A, shall we say?
I love how you're quite passionate about the ones you picked, Mark.
Yeah, well, I'm sorry, should I not be? All right, I'll tell you what, I'll try and dial it. It's all right. Yeah, but if you notice though, Kaz, I'm very dispassionate about the ones you pick.
That's what I mean.
You see how it works? Yeah.
Which
Dune
brings me,
2? Yeah.
which brings me very perfectly to the best 4K Blu-ray for video,
Oh.
Furiosa. What did you think of Furiosa in 4K, Si?
Fantastic picture. Yeah, it's you can't really fault it. There are issues with the film, although we've done an entire podcast on it.
Yeah.
But it's well, I mean, we can almost give it the sound as well. Actually, it's a fantastic
It
surround
is.
sound, and the AV on the disc is simply magnificent. You know,
It would,
it's
it
very
would have
very
gone in as runner-up on the one, the best overall. So it would have been Dune and Alien, sorry, and Furiosa, Mad Max Saga. Oh, I hate that subtitle.
Yeah.
Anyway, would have been those two, but I was trying to give as many different categories, different titles, different categories. So that's why Bad Boys gets in there. But they are pretty interchangeable. I mean, it's
Yeah.
fantastic video and audio.
I mean, to be fair, you've got to go some way
glorious
now
time.
to find a new film that doesn't have technically superb audio and video. Although I tell you what, we've got a few films this year that, you know, for example, that this new spate of 4Ks coming out without HDR. What's all that about? What's all that about? Anyway,
Trying to prove us
Anyway,
wrong all these years. The runner-up here I put as Deadpool and Wolverine 4K, and as Mark says, you know, it's hard to fault most modern releases and video and audio, although there are exceptions. But what I found interesting about this title is it's you know, a Disney Marvel movie, and they stick Dolby Atmos and proper Dolby Atmos and Dolby Vision on the disc, which is unusual, let's say, for them.
well, is this Sony's influence? Do we think? Because haven't Sony taken over the releasing of Disney?
No,
Aren't they now responsible for Disney's home video?
Only if they're doing it through like Elevation or somewhere. I don't think so. It'd be
Right.
interesting, but only if they're doing it through an intermediary. I
But
think
yeah, it's interesting how suddenly they've completely upped the game, Disney, completely.
for this one title, because it's like Deadpool and Wolverine.
Yeah, but you say that, but Romulus is a Disney title. All right, it's 20th Century Studios,
yeah, exactly.
But it's Disney, and that, you know, exactly the same. So maybe
this is
Disney
more
have
of a
turned the corner.
This is more of a Century Studios holdover. I have a feeling. Well, anyway, we'll see. We'll see next year.
Yeah, we'll see.
Brave New World. Best 4K Blu-ray box set went to The Hitcher, from Second Sight. You did the review. It's a phenomenal set, phenomenal movie, and for overall box set, that's what won it. You can give thumbs up if you like.
Uh, yeah, Hitcher was a fantastic set. Yeah, absolutely. I hope you can hear me. It's just
Yeah,
a
we can.
little bit of rain coming out now, and I'm under a plastic roof.
You can see it over his shoulder. Look at it.
It's
It's absolutely wazzing it down.
You've seen the rain come down.
Oh man.
Yeah, so just a teensy bit of rain. You know, it's not quite like our UK rain. It comes in fits and starts, and when it comes, it really, really hammers down. And I'm under a corrugated roof. I don't know if you can hear you. I hope you can hear me.
He's done well. I love the timing.
It's a good job we didn't pick Twisters in here, isn't it? Otherwise, it'd have been screwed.
It's a good job we didn't pick two titles that Si reviewed, and the runner-up being Seven Samurai from BFI, which he said was absolutely phenomenal, stunning native 4K picture, Dolby Vision, and a fabulous soundtrack in a lovely set from BFI, which Si had to arm wrestle me for. And now he's stuck in the rain.
Now we're talking. Contender for one of the greatest films ever made. I'm not sure what category this is, but it's brilliant.
But it deserves it.
It's a great set. Yeah, it's brilliant. I loved it.
And again, interesting enough, Criterion will release it in the same month. SDR,
Yes,
the
what's
BFI
that
sticker
about?
Dolby Vision HDR grade.
Yeah.
Well, they're doing it again. I don't know if you've seen the recent
What is that about?
announcement of Wages of Fear.
Yeah.
So again, Criterion are releasing the Wages of Fear in March next year in the States. SDR, BFI gave it a Dolby Vision HDR grade earlier this year. There's some strange shenanigans going on, I tell you, with bloody HDR.
Yeah.
Anyway, Seven Samurai, amaze.
Someone's going to link HDR to some kind of deathly disease. And so they've removed HDR from all titles going forward, and there's disc replacement.
Have you had your HDR vaccine?
Yeah, exactly. Best 4K Blu-ray limited edition. I mean, for me, it was Chronicles of Riddick. I couldn't get over the fact that limited edition means so little to me other than magnet clasp and pretty box sets and art cards. And I love all that tat. But then this limited edition comes along and it's got an actual extra disc. Okay, fine. Well, we've seen extra disc before, and extra disc is normally like a 20-minute IMAX making of trailer or something nonsense that you can get on the web anyway. This extra disc is a third 4K disc with another cut of the movie in open matte, which had never been seen before, which is a little bit, at least for me, was akin to Disney's IMAX enhanced versions on Disney Plus. So it's got open matte and Dolby Atmos. I mean, come on, really? This was a phenomenal limited edition that you can't get on the standard edition. I can't think of many other limited edition sets that made me as surprised that they'd actually used the title correct as this.
Yeah, I agree.
No,
Fantastic. The open match good.
Totally.
I mean, Great Escape did the same with that. Not
Oh,
quite
yeah.
as good.
Great Escape
again,
2. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, as a limited edition set to give you another disc in 4K, that great. But to have it in a limited edition set like it's brilliant. But I agree, Riddick is absolutely awesome in the three versions of it. Yeah, it's brilliant.
Yes.
Yeah, totally agree. And I think, like you said, the open mat came as such a surprise. There was not. No one had been. It wasn't one of those rumored, cuts, mythical cuts. Like the Event Horizon director's cut or the Keep director's cut, or Chronicles of Riddick open mat cut. It wasn't one of them, and it just came straight. I know, but the fact that it didn't look like it was half-assed. It looked. The framing was perfect, and like you say, they then gave it the full 4K. It's, again, I believe I ain't watched that one.
What?
No, the closest Mark's got is the screen grabs on my review. He got the set. I talked about how good and how he should check out the open mat because he's seen the normal version before, and he was like, yeah. Didn't watch it.
Yeah,
so,
believe you.
But it is interesting.
My 2029 is getting really busy.
It does
for things I need to watch.
It does. it does look very different, but it doesn't look wrong opened up. It doesn't look like a complete waste of screen space. So I don't know. I mean, I was very impressed to come across this, and it's an interesting experience. A bit like watching those Disney IMAX enhanced, because you can argue a lot of these things are worthless. I thought it was a hell of an experience, very immersive. The runner-up we gave to The Exorcist 3 4K Blu-ray, another Arrow title. They're
Yeah, I've been quite sniffy with Arrow and their 4Ks. They're what they tend to do is they just put all their extras over from the 1080p and stick a 4K, restoration on it, and jobs are good. And normally I'm quite grumpy with them. The thing with The Exorcist 3 is, and I
Is The
wrote it in the
Exorcist
review.
3?
Well. The thing is, to be fair to them, they went back and their previous version had a real problematic surround track, which it had a really, really ballsed up 5.1 track. Now, I think to be fair, if memory serves me right, that ballsed up surround track is still on there, but they've stuck an additional soundtrack in as well as the original stereo track. They've put an original stereo track, and I think they've restored the original stereo track as well. So they've gone above and beyond in the audio department. But then when you look at the extras that are included on this, yes, I can moan that they didn't give us anything new. But then what else could they give us? You've got the Legion cut with its own commentary tracks. You've got a massive feature-length documentary, which is amazing. You've got commentary tracks on the theatrical cut. You've got just everything. And so at the end of the day, I love the film. I love the release. I think it's amazing.
Best 1080p Blu-ray, Blair Witch Project from Second Sight. Well, I think we bigged
Yeah.
this up just last podcast, but I mean it's a phenomenal set, and another one where they've gone above and beyond. I mean, this is an Arrow, this is Second Sight, and we'll come on to that shortly when we talk about the best
Yeah.
boutique labels. But they've again given multiple cuts and gone above and beyond.
Well, I think the big thing about this is they've had unprecedented access to the creative team behind it, and for a while that team have been saying every version of the Blair Witch Project you've seen at home and even in the theaters, it's not the version it should be. It shouldn't look like that. This Second Sight one is the only version that has ever been released that looks like it was intended to do, and that's because the video is high frame rate on this Blu-ray. It's at 50. It's 1080 50i on the video, not the forced 24 frames per second we got in the cinema and on the previous Blu-ray. And if you go, well, what does that mean? When you look on the making of documentary, or when you look at the 24 frames per second version, you can see the stutter completely throughout, which we all said, oh, well, that's just part of the charm of low budget video. No, it wasn't. It was an absolute cock up because of the way it was transferred onto disc. So seeing the high frame rate version on this, revelatory, absolutely revelatory. And on top of that, you get two cuts. You get the festival cut, which actually it's the same duration, but it takes a scene out, it sticks still the scenes in. It does feel slightly different, certainly in the first act. But then you've got those extras. A 2.5 hour brand new documentary, which is absolutely one of the best making of documentaries you've ever seen. It is up there with Dangerous Days from Blade Runner. It's up there with Furious Gods from Prometheus. It's up there with anything on the Alien anthology. If you like your making of documentaries, you have to see it. And then, of course, you've got that massive hardback book, which, quite frankly, is sat on my coffee table. It looks that good. So, all in, one of the best box sets of the year. Noting that slight audio snafu, which Second Sight picked up and are currently issuing replacement discs out. So, not quite perfect, but it very soon will be. So, yeah, knocked
Very
it out of
nice.
the park.
And
Knocked it out of the park with this one.
your runner-up was Radiance, who are also doing tremendous work this year. Haxan on Blu-ray from Radiance.
Yeah, that's because there aren't enough century-old Danish documentaries on this list. There need to be more 100-year-old films on this. Haxan is an amazing film. The fact that it looks as good as it does maybe should have been expected. The fact that it sounds as good as it does should have been expected. But the fact that we got 5 different cuts of the film. 5 different cuts. One of which is narrated by legendary nutbag William S. Burroughs. I mean, Christ almighty, you couldn't make some of this crap up and it's on this disc. So, yeah. And what's the link between Haxan and the Blair Witch Project? Uber nerd fact fans. Do you know what it is?
No.
The production company who made the Blair Witch Project is called Haxan Films, named after this documentary because the 2 Blair Witch directors are huge fans of it. So there you go. Look at that for symmetry.
Oh, it's almost as if you planned it.
It's almost as if, I'm full of it.
Best 4K Blu-ray Steelbooks. I'm guessing neither of you have any of these. Do either of you have any?
I have the Nikita one.
You have the Nikita one.
I do.
Do you approve of Nikita getting best 4K Blu-ray Steelbook?
How do I phrase this?
You don't care.
Give a rat's ass.
You don't care. I mean, okay. So I do care. I've always loved Steelbooks. I fell out of love with them for sure, almost entirely thanks to Zavi. And my love for them has crept back in, particularly recently, where they've decided that they don't have to do like full gloss steelbooks and they don't have to do random spot gloss steelbooks. They could actually do really precise gloss steelbooks. So Nikita is an example here. It doesn't look like much necessarily from the images, but they've done spot gloss on her eyes and on the gun, on the word Nikita, and on her necklace, and it looks phenomenal. Put it up on the shelf, and the eyes really catch the light and sparkle. And it's little touches like this, particularly with such a vibrant steelbook. I think that it's the extra mile. They also did the recent Leon release, which has the theatrical cut on it, the 3-disc set. Both of these are Studio Canal, and they gave it runners up. It's also got spot gloss. It's not as great spot gloss, but my God, it is Leon. I did want to shout out for Deadpool and Wolverine 2, which similarly employs spot gloss on his claws, and I think in sparkle for the fiery background on it. I think again it really works. My only annoyance there is that it's this new habit of release companies doing 2 different steelbook versions and just making fans, particularly the ones with that OCD about needing to own everything, really frustrated
both,
and
Kaz.
or poor. Okay, just don't talk to me about it. Very, 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 very poor.
Oh dear.
But yeah, so I didn't give it to that. But anyway, tremendous comeback for some steelbooks. It's good news. Best studio for 4K Blu-ray releases. We went with a joint prize this year. Last year, Second Sight won it hands down. Arrow came second. This year, me and Mark discussed a little bit about these two, and I think I twisted his arm into believing that Arrow had actually done a comparable work, particularly when you consider Arrow US's output. So Second Sight, just so everyone back home knows, Second Sight, 22 they did Drive, which Dog Soldiers. 23 they did Texas Chainsaw Massacres. Yeah, yeah, you love Dog Soldiers, Si. Yeah.
10 out of 10.
Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Crimes of the Future, It Follows, and 2024 we had High Tension, Mean Streets, Possessor, Green Room, Bittersweet Life, You're Next, Hitcher, and Late Night with the Devil. And of course their 1080p Blair Witch Project. So they've done some phenomenal work. I would counter that argument, not disputing that Second Sight do pretty much flawless work with Arrow, who have given us this year Invasion of the Body Snatchers, City of the Living Dead, Crimson Peak, Long Good Friday, With Nail and I, and in the US, Conan, Narc, American Gigolo, and more recently, Desperado, Exorcist 3, Chronicles of Riddick, and Demolition Man, and are now touting The Cell and The Gift. I mean, they're all really nice sets. This is that's a pretty good lineup.
I mean, I think one of the things that I'm been most pleased about is go back a couple of years and all these labels had, and I know we've talked about the second night snafu on Blair Witch, but now those kind of things are few and far between. Yes, we've had the issue with Opera for Severin in the States as well. But go back a couple of years, and almost every other Arrow release had to be recalled, or there was some bleating about a framing error or something like that. And I think those have almost all been eradicated now. We're now getting consistently high quality output. And yes, I'm not going to argue with these two, but even this year, you look at what 88 Films are doing with their 4Ks now, the likes of the Amityville horror, the likes of some of their Italian collection, which is complete trash, but are fantastic restorations. And then you look at some of the smaller scale labels like your Severin, like your I mean I've already warned Kaz next year Radiance is going to get this. I don't care what they do, but Radiance are going to get it. The only reason Radiance aren't in the conversation now is because they aren't doing 4K, but their 1080p output it's unimpeachable. It's banger after banger after banger. Curating wise, and again, let's not forget the whole point of these labels are not only giving us our favorite films in the best quality, but they are introducing us to new films. That is their raison d'etre, and then doing so in such high quality.
Wait,
So
I try and do that all the time with my high quality reviews, Mark, but you just completely ignore me.
I'm sorry, what?
That is it. That wraps up our chat about our Editor's Choice Awards for the best 4K Blu-rays in 2024. My thanks to Simon and Mark.
Hey.
Merry Christmas to everyone at home. Thanks for listening and watching a year of these podcasts. The next podcast is our CES special, which will be published the third week of January 2025. Screen Time with AV Forums will return Monday, the 27th of January as an audio-only version and on the Screen Time for AV Forums YouTube channel. Don't forget to the usual social media like, subscribe, and so on. Tell everyone you know about the AV Forums podcast and spread the word far and wide. Plus, if you really like the podcast, buy us a coffee at buymeacoffee.com/avforums. I'm Kaz Harlow. Thanks for listening, and we'll be back soon.